Leonard Ragouzeos is an artist with an extraordinary sense of the dramatic moment. Using ink on paper, he is a master of what art critic Clive Bell described as significant form. Art that stirs our aesthetic emotions with forms arranged and combined according to certain unknown and mysterious laws that move and transform the viewers. Ragouzeos can take ordinary objects and transform them into a majestic human idiom. A visual magician, Ragouzeos evokes the power of the black and white image to an original artistic experience.
My first job out of college was a graphic designer, and I did that for 6 years. And then I taught graphic design for 31 years, and other art courses, drawing, primarily basic design and composition, which is really what I loved. Seeing all the freshmen, which were really 13th graders, people that didn't know they had a voice anymore. They kind of dumbed down, I felt, by the time they get out of high school. And so it was fun to teach them just how to see, how to look at things. And in my own background, in my own learning how to see things, the combination of the graphic design and this wonder of how you can make a three-dimensional object appear on a two-dimensional surface, it led me to just work more and more in black and white because it came easy to me, and I recognized the power of it just out of my graphic design work history. And at some point, when after I started working with the U-boat paper, there was a limit to how big a sheet could be. And I liked the physical nature of working large. So the sheets I was getting were 28 by 30 something, 2 by 3 feet, a little larger. And so I would make pictures that big, and then I would gang 2 of them up. And at the time I was making heads early on. Soldiers' heads related to previous wars, and then my own head related to depressed thoughts. But then I branched out into less personal, I guess I would say, subjects. But I realized that if I put 2 pieces together, I make a bigger picture. It's even more impressive to me and other people. A head this big is not as good as a head this, not as impressive. And then if you just keep making them larger, so I was ganging up 3 or 4 sheets, and it would be gigantic, but cumbersome. And luckily, the company came out, was selling rolls of the paper. It's a printing industry paper. And so I started buying rolls, 10 yards by 5 feet, and then everything I made was 5 feet. 5 feet by 5 feet, 5 feet by 8 feet. I never really thought about scale as being a quality, but I was impressed sometimes when I would go to a museum and see pictures that used to be this big in the art history books, like 20 feet long. When I grew up, I was in college, the stars of the day were people like Franz Klein and Jackson Pollock and Rothko. And I fell for those. I made Rothko paintings for long. I never did Jackson Pollock paintings, but I did Franz Klein paintings, in a sense. And I followed a lot of the thinking. I remember once reading Franz Klein would just make numerous scribbles, so just little ink drawings, and then you pick one and enlarge it. I didn't realize that. I thought he took big brushes and all. But evidently he knew what the hell he was doing before he started. And I feel like I'm doing that. I know what the design of this thing is, but the process, I haven't figured that out yet. It just happens while I'm working. And I love the ink and its relationship to movement. And one of the things I learned from those people was that if you see the sign of the artist within the work, then the person who's viewing it can feel and relate to what that artist is actually doing physically. And I feel like if I'm going to understand a painting, anybody's painting, I want to get where the painter was, and get close and see what that person sees before they step away. Because most of my work, everything I do, is, because it's large, is stepping away, getting close, stepping away, because I can't see it. And so I kind of fell into doing the large ones because they were physical and they were fun. Every picture has to have a reason. The current series I'm working on, these I call them power poles or telephone poles. I'm not know what to call them, but I just refer to them as the poles. They started out in my life as telephone poles, and they were ubiquitous all over New York City. Yeah, there was always a pole. People would throw sneakers over the pole, so it would disturb a ball when you hit a ball. So you were aware of them, but you kind of ignored them. But at some point, I saw them two ways. One is a powerful graphic image against the sky, and another as a marker or a sign as to who we are as a culture. When I was in architecture, I learned about buildings and how they define what that culture's ethic or ruling power may be. And so I learned early on that things like the pyramids, they exist to honor the gods or the pharaoh. Stonehenge exists because nature and the movement of the planet and the sun is important to that culture, and cultivation of crops, etc. And when Christianity, I guess, took over, they built these gigantic Gothic cathedrals to say, yeah, I'm in charge, I'm the power that people respect. And when business became more important than religion, they were the tallest buildings. And now I guess they still are, but these relatively small telephone poles or power poles, they communicate all over the world. I like challenging myself to make another thing that's as good as or better than the previous. And it doesn't always happen. What I'm working on now, the design of it is different than most of my other work. Most of my other work is a 5x5 or 5x6, but This one turned out, I started making it as a 4x5 because I wanted a horizontal, very practical. But as I was looking at it, I kind of misjudged where my horizon should be, and the picture looked terrible at a 4x5 as I was going, so I knocked it down to 3x5. I will crop it later. And then a conversation previous to my making the picture was about the Fibonacci series and the golden mean, which I always loved to teach when I was teaching, because it gives a relationship, it offers a relationship between nature and art and science. And I don't think there's much difference between nature and art and science or people. We're all part of one big organism. And I like the idea that there was a theory that maybe could tie those things together. So this picture ends up being, I started doing it as a 4x5, now it's 3x5, which is 3x5, 5x8, 8x13 series of rectangles. And the more I got into it, the more I said, well, does it have this particular edit? So I started designing it in reference to certain points that identify that piece. But as I was working on it, I think I said before, the landscape became an ocean of some sort. So now I'm not, when I go back to it, I'm not sure where it's going, but that's kind of the fun in it. I used to say, and I still do, and my kids are tired of hearing me say it, doubt is the handmaiden of truth. And what I mean by that, or what I think it means, is in order to find out what's really real, you have to doubt everything that happens. And when you overcome all those doubts, then you come to whatever truth is. And so I've always kind of, if I'm going to make another picture, I'm only one bother, well, I think I'll try something different. What will it be? I can't just make another picture because I know that I can. I have to have some sort of doubt. Like, can I make another picture that's as good as or better than or composed differently? Otherwise, why make another picture? part of what I really like about working in black and white is I can relate it to the newspaper, let's say, or film noir, or just all the old films, where it's the shape, it's the lighting, it's the form. When I stay away from color, it's because I'm trying to get an abstract, I'm trying to get a form and a shape into the viewer's mind so that they can contemplate and they can think about it and they can go wherever they want with it. They always seem more dramatic to me. Somehow like a Rembrandt or Durer, where they just use that monochromatic, the values, the different grays, to produce something very dramatic. It seems to me, and I've been told I'm very dramatic. My wife thinks I'm very dramatic. A lot of people think I'm dramatic, and my father used to say, "We Greeks, we invented drama." So, yeah, I come from a dramatic family, and Greeks and Italians are very dramatic, and the work I chose to do or choose to do. I want it to be dramatic. In fact, if you take an object, a small object, and you make it large, and you light it a certain way, it becomes important. So a carrot can be very important if you light it properly, if you have the right perspective and scale, and that's something that is at the very core, I think, of making pictures, is to capture some mood, some essence. We refer to. I don't know if when people were making black and white movies they were called film noir, but now they're film noir, and I know what that means. It's more than just the color or the lack of color. It's a whole mood that it projects.